is this really the worst pandemic that ever happened? Or is it just that we feel that way because we have never seen anything like this before? Probably. So what categories of people you see emerging from these situations? I can see 5 types, and what has all this got to do with me solving the 6-sided Rubik's Cube under 5 minutes? Watch answers to all these questions in this video. Hey guys, this is Sushil Rapatwar and welcome to this video. We are now well into the 3rd week of lockdown. These are indeed difficult times, or as some may prefer to use the words, unprecedented times. Just a few months back, when we thought that the Brexit saga came to an end after 3.5 years of the greatest political drama, and just when we were all looking forward to a bright and a fresh start to the 3rd decade of this 21st century, and just when we were all talking about the laurels of technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, self-driven cars, trip to outer space, and all those beautiful sci-fi things that we have achieved as humankind, and then we were given a small and a gentle warning by our planet Earth that if we do not mend our ways, then it's not too difficult to wipe the human species entirely without much, simply like that, like the way the dinosaurs were wiped out. It is probably a great opportunity for all of us to take a breather and introspect and reinvent the way we live, because there probably may not be another chance, guys. The first point. A simple strain of virus, if you like, crossed from bats to humans, is wreaking havoc in our modern society. Over 1.4 million people are now known to be infected across the globe, and more than 84,000 deaths have been recorded, with over 6,000 in UK alone. We probably might be thinking what this is, that this is the most dreadful disease that has ever struck the humankind because of the impact it is having on us on a day-to-day basis. But we have had much worse pandemics, to be honest, throughout history, which I am going to quickly mention here, just so that we put the current pandemic in context. Since 1981, there have been over 36 million deaths due to HIV/AIDS pandemic. The Hong Kong flu pandemic of 1968 had killed over 1 million people. The Asian flu caused due to influenza killed over 2 million people. And between 1918 and 1920, just 2 years, there was another pandemic due to influenza that killed around 35 million people. Now, the speciality of this virus was that the children and the older vulnerable people were left untouched, and completely healthy people had to bear the brunt, which is exactly opposite of what's happening in Corona, more or less, right? The Black Death, as the name suggests, Black Death was caused by bubonic plague, where an estimated death toll is anywhere between 75 to 200 million people. 3 continents were devastated, and at that time, the jump was from rats to humans. And probably you can enlist many more such pandemics. So, well, my point here, what's the point here, is not to underplay the impact and severity of the current pandemic. Of course not. But the reason why we are feeling the horror of this one more is because we are experiencing it, whereas with the others, we just read it as another statistic in history books, and hence probably cannot relate to it, or the correct word here is that we cannot empathize with it as we can with the current one. Another difference that previous pandemics had with this one is that in those times there was no internet, no Netflix, no YouTube, no economic packages being announced by the governments. They were more or less left to the mercy of the virus to run its full course. However, For this one, the only thing that we have got to do to stop the spread is to stay home. Simples. So, first and foremost, hats off to all the frontline staff and key workers that are putting their lives in danger to keep the semi-lockdown world moving. Farmers, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, people serving us on the tills, stockists, shelf loaders in the superstores, off-license small corner shops, logistic transporters and delivery personnel delivering stuff, pharmaceutical company workers, rubbish cleaners, plumbers, and so on and so forth. This situation has at least shown us in a very weird way as to which people actually keep the clock ticking, which are almost always taken for granted. Therefore, newfound respect and appreciation to you all. And for the rest of us, right, who are now more or less stranded at home, what are you doing? That's the question. Some of you may be working, especially the IT folks who can still work from home. Whatever the case, we all now have more time at our disposal as there is no commute and neither you have to run around chauffeuring your kids to multitudes of classes like swimming, cricket, football, etc., etc. So how are you utilizing this newfound time in your life? That's the question, guys. So as I said, 5 types of people I have identified, right? So in this current situation, I think those 5 types or 5 categories, if you like, can be good Samaritans, perennial paranoids, social media addicts, time wasters, and explorers. So let's briefly understand what these 5 categories of people, what are the characteristics of them. First one is obvious, which is good Samaritans, right? People in this category have very kindly volunteered to help people in need. Then whether it is helping the foreign students that are stranded here in the UK, or organizations providing free lessons and tuitions to our kids and continuing the all-important learning process, or maybe people and companies that are generously donating to the charities who are providing free food and free delivery service for people who cannot venture out. So it is really assuring that despite all the doom and gloom, humanity still exists, guys. As was evident when Boris Johnson appealed for volunteers helping NHS for 250,000 volunteers, but within 24 hours, 400,000 volunteers registered. And that's absolutely wonderful. People in this category remind me of the beautiful small plants that spring up from seemingly dry and rough environment, as you can see here. So, massive respect to these people and these organizations who are generous enough and human enough to help humankind for the sake of helping, rather than milking the situation and making quick bucks. I'm doing my bit to belong in this group, and I'm sure you too are doing some aspects of them. Second is perennial paranoids. Now, there are quite a few I know who I can say are absolutely paranoid about not missing a single bit of news. Now, these are the types who are glued to the news 24/7 from every piece of electronic channel that is available in their home. So they probably have the TV beaming 24/7 updates on COVID spread, like number of people infected, number of people died today, number of people died in last hour, which areas the deaths have occurred and infected, and by how much, and so on and so forth. Then, in addition to that, probably they have tuned into the radio as well, giving them the same info through different media. And while watching and listening, they're also on their laptops, scavenging for more and more news and actions being done by various countries and various governments and so on and so forth. So much so that even if they go to the toilet, they will take the mobiles with them. So now tell me, guys, honestly, do you really think that getting paranoid and vexed up by so much negativity and constant bombardment of these not so good news on you is going to prevent even a single death? Will it going to prevent any further infections happening? The only person who will be impacted through this constant bombardment is you. With constant negativity, this surely will affect your thoughts and your mental composure. You probably are aware about the law of attraction. This negativity will eventually attract negative thoughts and negative energy, which will make you a pessimistic, sad, and a boring git. Do you really want to end up being that? Imagine the impact it will have on your family, friends, relatives, and eventually the people that you talk to on a daily basis. So what's the bottom line, right? Bottom line is relax. Probably you can watch a summary of the news once a day and keep yourself informed, right? You getting vexed up and wasting all this beautiful precious time that you have got is not going to change a single thing. We now come to the third category of people, which is the social media addicts. As the name suggests, these are the guys now glued to their newfound treasure of instant dopamine provider. It is like dopamine on tap. Just open it when you need it and get as much as you want. Well, I am talking about the vast expanse and inroads the social media has made in our daily lives. You won't believe, but there are in fact people who now watch each and every video and read each and every post that they receive on each and every group on WhatsApp. How sad that is. If you're really doing that, then hats off to your patience, and probably you need to see a doctor later on. Then there are others who are on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, so either they consume whatever is being shared and then spend hours watching related videos, or they post something on these channels and then come back to it after every minute to see how many likes and comments they have received for the post that they have just did. Sounds familiar? Anyone? Now, why did I refer to the social media as dopamine on tap? Well, that can be another topic on its own, but in short, we are just a species of animals, yeah, who get driven by the feel-good molecules, and that is dopamine. These are basically neurotransmitters, something akin to a messenger who sends signals, yeah, through our nervous system. And of course, that's why it's vitally important. However, once we know that some activity or some substances make you feel good, then you tend to do more of it, right? Obvious. That's a human tendency, or maybe an animal tendency. Example, alcohol addiction. You get that instant feeling of lightness and feel goodness, and you do it more often. Eventually, your body gets used to it, and let us say 2 pints of beer then becomes your new normal. That means you won't feel anything until you hit your base now, a newfound base of 2 pints, and so on. Now, this same logic works in case of, say, Facebook likes. Yeah, if you post something and you get, say, 20 likes for the first time, then you're over the moon. Hey, I got 20 likes. Then if your subsequent posts start getting 100 likes, then that becomes your new normal. So if you get 90, then you start feeling a bit dejected, sad, outcast. Nobody loves you kind of feeling, because now 100 has become your new normal. So basically I have explained this in a very crude and simple format, but if you see, it can indeed have serious repercussions in terms of mental stability and its ripple effects on your family life and other behavioral aspects. Anyways, this video is not about that, but I guess you have got my point as to what I wanted to say. So, if possible, use this opportunity to do something other than being a social media addict, and you will find that there is indeed more to life. Now, we come to the fourth category, and which is time wasters and entrepreneurs. So, First of all, no disrespect to people in this category, but you probably know who I am talking about. These are the people who are binge watchers, like entertaining themselves through various avenues such as YouTube, Netflix, Amazon Prime, TV, Vimeo, etc., etc. If these channels are used wisely, then obviously, indeed can become your most powerful teacher. But if in case you are spending majority of your time in just the entertainment bit, then I would rather term it as wasting and whiling away your precious time. And by entrepreneurs in this case, I mean the people who have started new business of import and export. And that is, you import messages on WhatsApp and other social media channels from one group and export them onto another group. I am indeed guilty of that, but some make it the reason for existence. Until they have done this at least 10 or 20 times, they don't feel a sense of achievement. So if you are one of the persons in this group, be careful. Then we come to the last category, and that is explorers. So I'm calling it explorers because people in this category can be defined as those who explore their inner abilities and qualities. Those who think, behave and act in a way that is congruent with peaceful, harmonious and sustainable life. It is indeed pleasing to see many friends now who are tapping into the creative side. I'm seeing beautiful poetic side of them emanating in beautiful poems, singers entertaining us through their art, some finding solace through seeing the comic side of it, some honing their skills and learning new languages, reading new books, learning how to cook, learning new art form, or just spending more time with their children and family through meaningful interaction like studying, games, TikToking and so on. And I have actively chosen to be in this category. And as part of that, I am going to showcase you one of the things that has been on my bucket list for a long time. And that is to complete all the 6 sides of the Rubik's Cube. So this is a cube which is now scrambled by a master scrambler. So I'm going to try to get that fixed. So I'm just going to start the timer so that we know exactly how long it's going to take for me to fix this. Alright, so ready and steady and go. And this is a fully done cube, and this is, as you can see, just under 3 minutes. There you go guys, I have made a separate video where I have highlighted what I learned from this Rubik's solving experience, and you can find the link to that video in the description below. So now you might ask, what is so great about solving a Rubik's Cube? But once you know how to do it, then probably there is nothing really great about it. Well, therefore, there are 2 types of people in this world, let me tell you, right? So one who can solve the Rubik's Cube and one who can't. I've just moved from that can't group to can group. So now let me walk you through some statistics to establish the specialness of that move from can't to can. So since its year of invention, that is 1974, which incidentally is also my year of birth, around 350 million units have been sold. And it is a rough estimate that around 1 million people can solve it through practice and memorizing the established methods and formula. So what does that make you? 1 in a million. Just to take it a step further, it will take you into the special category. You will be 0.01% of the global population who can solve the Rubik's Cube. Forget all that, right? These are numbers, it just made me feel good. That's it, that's the bottom line. Another dopamine releasing activity. But this is probably more sustainable, like the ones that are good dopamines. That means the ones that are released after you have done considerable amount of effort and hard work. Now probably you may ask what the big deal is about winning an Olympic gold medal. Eventually you just get on with life, and so does that player. A few bits of glim and glam in the media for a year, 2 years, and then things move on. Similarly, there may be a few bits of likes and few comments on this video, some thumbs up. Even if you have not watched the video, there are few who will do thumbs up on Facebook, WhatsApp, and you move on, right? But for me, that sense of minor achievement will be there forever. The joy of getting all 6 sides of the cube completed, and that too in less than 3 minutes. If you have liked this video, then do please click on like. Like the video below, and you may choose to share and subscribe, and if you can, then I will be really grateful for that. So before I end this video, check which group you fall into, which category. If possible, continue exploring and pursuing new things. If done with honesty, perseverance and patience, I guarantee that you will take yourself and the world by surprise. You and I are limitless. So, thanks for watching. Rise up from the doom and gloom and keep exploring, keep learning, and keep surprising. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.